The perfect old-fashioned. Well, this is how I make an old-fashioned at home. You know, the old-fashioned is a classic whiskey cocktail, and it goes back to the 1800s. I think the liquor back then might have been a little bit rough, so they used bitters and sugars and aromatics to try and, I suppose, make it palatable, I would say. I can't imagine, you know, what it was like back then, but yeah, it would have been quite rough. So a cocktail was defined back then as basically spirit, sugar, bitters, and water. So then what happened was, of course, the bartenders became a little bit more creative, in fact, and started adding a few other things like liqueurs, and I think people, you know, they got a little bit, I suppose, sick of that, and they started asking for, you know, a cocktail the old-fashioned way. So I think, you know, that's how it originated. Today, it's still one of the most popular cocktails in the world, whiskey-based, bourbon-based, and the great old-fashioned isn't really about hiding the whiskey, it's about enhancing it. And even though, you know, traditionally we use bourbon, here's a little classic hint. You know, you can use anything you like. So, for example, if you've opened a whiskey that you're not massively keen on drinking it neat, but that's the way you drink whiskey, you could use that whiskey for this cocktail. Absolutely fantastic, no problem at all. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 60 mils of your favorite whiskey. In this case, I'm going to use Evan Williams. It's bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof or 50 ABV, a sweet bourbon. I think it's a Kentucky straight bourbon, of course, and I think that is going to be the perfect complement for this particular cocktail. So I think a teaspoon of sugar. Now, we spoke about, or I should say, I'm going to make this as the keto version. So 1 teaspoon of sugar has got about 5 grams of carbohydrate. I'm going to use this, which is 100% natural sweetener with stevia. It's basically erythritol, yep. And there's no carbs. So you do have to keep in mind, of course, that each of these cocktails might have about 150 calories. So you have to keep that in mind. Don't be having 6 or 7 of them and expect to be losing weight, because you're not going to. So I'm going to use that. What else do we need? We need 3 or 4 dashes of the bitters. I use this one. It's the classic one that you'll buy at all the bottle shops. It's absolutely fantastic. I've got a little hint on this when you put it in as well. And we're going to need a splash of soda just to help dissolve the sugar or sweetener. And of course, you're going to need ice, an orange peel. I also have some of these pitted Morello dark cherries in syrup. The syrup's awesome too. All right, so let's have a look. Let's get started. We're going to start by adding the sugar. Flat teaspoon. Yep, like that. Pretty easy. And now we're going to add the bitters. I reckon about 4 dashes. Now, this thing has got a little tiny hole in the top, and sometimes you turn it over. If the liquid hits that, it shoots out. So tilt your glass, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And look at that. Didn't spill a drop. Fantastic. Now, at this stage, a lot of people are going to go in with the, I'll maybe put the dash of soda in now, because I actually use a little bit more. I'll use a couple ounces, simply because I like it refreshing, I like it sweet. And I'm also going to add the whiskey. 2 ounces, 60 mils. Or, as one would say, a home pour. There you go. Saves you coming back for more too often. So, let's give this a little bit of a stir. Nice and easy. You can stir for as long as you like. What I'm going to do is put the ice cube in, because the ice cube will definitely, the size of that. Woohoo! In it goes. And we're going to swirl it around a little bit. It's a pretty easy cocktail to make, as you can see. And it is absolutely great. There's no question about it. All right, now I'm going to put a teaspoon of the cherry juice in here, maybe 2, because it is actually very, very good. Fantastic. I'm going to get a cherry, and I'll put a little cocktail stick on there. Easy. We're going to fire that in. I have a nice slice of orange, which I've just peeled, and we're going to spritz the orange. It gives it nice little essential oils around there, and we're going to run that around the top of the glass because it makes a difference. You can taste it, you know. Chucking that in there, no problem at all. And that, my friends, is your old-fashioned. You can get creative, of course, with your orange, which is a nice little touch. You see that? Made that earlier. I'll show you how if you need to know. Anyway, let's taste it. It does look appealing, I've got to say. Oh, I did get this little silly little thing, but hey, I'll see if I can get a decent photograph of this. And that, look at that, isn't that fantastic? It's just for aesthetic for the photograph, but yeah, we'll see how that comes up later. Here we go. You could use, you know, if you want a little bit of spice in your whiskey, less sweetness, you could use a nice rye whiskey. And I think, you know, they traditionally use a bourbon or a bourbon rye. Oh, yeah, the whiskey's still the star of the show here, isn't it? But it is a treat for your sweet tooth, especially in this occasion, because I am using bourbon bitters, I am using a sugar substitute. I have put a little bit of that cherry juice in there, so it's absolutely fantastic. Oh, superb, absolutely superb. Now, if you have enjoyed the review, what I would ask you to do is subscribe to the channel. I will make the odd cocktail, whiskey cocktail. As long as it's whiskey themed, I'm okay with that. And there we have it. That's absolutely sensational. Please hit review, it does help. And until the next time, folks, I will say to you, Sláinte.